Yes, First Lady Queen Dr. Benny, um, could you do the honors of the host? All right, I'll start with the intro and then you do the intro of the people. Peace, blessings, enough, holy, plenty, a lot of love to all our kings and queens and our global ambassadors. Really appreciate that you all are out on this 23rd day of January 2025, and we are still alive and we are keeping things alive. And so, thank you all very much for joining us. Those that are on YouTube also, thank you all very much for making it deep dive, globally changing lives. Our theme song, we're going right into our theme song, which is by Lerato Shadari. And please take a look and take note of the products that will be displayed while Queen Lerato Shadari sing that lovely theme song, In It to Win It. Please to listen.
Your next stop is on passive.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much, Queen Loretta Shadari. Really appreciate, really appreciate, really appreciate. At this time, we are going to call on our First Lady, Queen Dr. Benny, and she will continue with the introduction of all the persons who will be presenting. And so, over to you, First Lady, Queen Dr. Benny.
Ah, Thank you so much, King Dr. Derek. I want to thank you for this amazing opportunity. I want to thank each and everyone coming here this evening, this morning, this afternoon. It all depends upon your location. And we also thank our Heavenly Father for bringing us here because it's really freezing out there. Today, I'm going to introduce, or this evening, I will introduce our mindset. You guys do understand that is very important. Mindset is important. And that is why our CEO make us to understand that we need to always dedicate ourselves when it comes to mindset. So Deep Dive has decided to do so. Okay. This particular lady, she is really a grandmother. She is our queen. You guys know that she is an inspirational speaker, an entrepreneur. She has her own talk show. She is dedicated, right? She is real what? She is a dedicated unperseverant who is determined to do her best for this our extraordinary company called Unpassive. Our main goal is to make you and I happy, especially when it comes to health. Health is important. Let us welcome our one and only Queen Jacqueline Warner.
Good evening to all. Thank you so much, Queen Dr. Benny, for First Lady of On Passive. Thank you, Dr. Derek, for allowing me to speak on this platform. And thank you to the brand ambassadors for being here, for your support, for your help. Appreciate you. And I just want to thank also Mr. Ash Mafara for making this possible. And thanks to our Heavenly Father who made put it all together. So tonight we're going to be talking about the gut. And our gut is very important. A lot of us probably don't think of it as important because you just eat whatever goes in, we figure comes out, and that's the end of the story. But the gut plays a very important role in our very well-being. Let me see if I can get started here. I know it won't be long tonight. It's going to be short. So the topic tonight is how to heal the gut and the 7 ways in healing the gut naturally. We don't have to take over-counter prescription drugs or go to the doctor to get a prescription, because most of the time when you take a prescribed over-the-counter drug, it prevents the natural function and healing of the gut. And so when we suppress the function that the gut's supposed to perform, then we are compromising our own gut. We compromising the system. We're confusing it, and sometimes we don't realize that because we have been deceived and brainwashed. It goes back. It's all about the money, like we learned already. So why is this topic deemed important? Because most people go to their doctor or hospital due to gut issues or digestive disorders. So some of these issues are like acid reflux, Crohn's disease. I know of two of my close friends that have Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, which is IBS, ulcerative colitis. Issues stem from the gut, like high blood pressure or cardiovascular disease and other major issues. And this is why this topic is of great importance, and I will share with you a couple of signs and symptoms help determine if we or you have an unhealthy gut, where you will be able to identify the issues, and you might not even think that it correlates of you having a unhealthy gut. So then I will cover some of the natural ways in healing an unhealthy gut. And there is a philosophy around the healing of the gut, because that is where our health begins and also where our health ends. So to clarify, a healthy gut leads to a healthy lifestyle. And an unhealthy gut, of course, leads to an unhealthy lifestyle. We heard throughout our lifetime that we are what we eat, but it's not only about the food, but also about a digestive system, or the foods, the medicines, and so forth. All those things play a major role in the health of our gut. Things around food like medicine, what we eat, and what we drink, that can cause an unhealthy gut. Most of us don't realize the role the gut plays in our health, and the known fact that the gut is known also as the second brain. Why? Because the gut has its own nerve and nervous system, and this nervous system is called enteric nervous system, which has some of the same neurotransmitters and cells that the brain has. So we can see that the stomach doesn't work alone. And it helps us to understand that everything works together. Nothing works by itself. So when we compromise one organ or system, we we see or may have other systems or organs or even glands. So everything works hand in hand. Not sure where I went, but I'm back. So that tells us the gut just don't digest our food, but do far more than that. And of course, the connection between the two. For example, statistics has shown that 50 to 90% of patients with irritable bowel syndrome also suffer from anxiety and depression. And that's not a coincidence, because that just shows do you see the close relationship between the gut and the brain, which is of great importance because of the neurotransmitters that keeps us happy and balanced, like the serotonin 90. It's also in the gut. So we can see the importance of our digestive health and also cognitive health, how the two collaborate with each other. Now, let us move into the various signs and symptoms of an unhealthy gut that can help us to address the cause for for maybe the hypertension or the diabetes, etc., whatever. That if they help you to recognize, is that the cause of my hypertension? Is that the cause of my diabetes? Number one would be foul bowel movement. So when our bowels should not have a foul smell, number one, that cause us to close the door or even spray due to the unpleasant smell. That alone tells us that something is wrong and there is a digestive issue at hand. So then what caused that? When the food is not digest properly, or when it doesn't move through the system like it's supposed to, and it remains in the stomach, it starts to rotten and it ferments, creating a smelly bowel. That's where the smelly bowel comes from, because it sits there. Just think of your trash can when you throw food in it. After a while, you got to get it out. It stinks so bad. And if you check your trash can, it even turned into worms. In hours that you are toxic, that you have food in there that has not passed through the system and out of the body. So it's sitting there rotting, becoming toxic and causing havoc to the system. And when it causes havoc to the gut, it's also causing havoc to the brain, making you unable to concentrate, making you confused, and all other kind of implications might take place. So the foul brewing. So that alone, yes, yes, yes. So when the food is not digested properly, then it remains in the stomach and start to rot in the ferment, creating a smelly bowel. And this sign leads us to know that we have more bacteria reaping havoc on our gut, causing it to be unhealthy. Migraines, especially if you're not, especially if you are experiencing vomiting and nausea, could be an indication of an unhealthy gut, as well as food allergens, unable to sleep throughout the night, and not getting back to sleep. Also, unintentional weight gain and weight loss, gas, bloating, chronic fatigue, where you're always tired, and acid reflux, which is definitely one of them of the main one for the gut, are all signs and symptoms of having an unhealthy gut. Just think of these signs and symptoms as your car, like when it goes on, that something is wrong with your car, right? So when we have these symptoms, that means something is wrong with our gut, and we need to pay attention to it. We need to figure out what's going on. And these signs and symptoms, if not addressed, can lead to colorectal cancer, skin irritations, or skin blemishes, eczema. And when you see a lot of acne on your skin, it's a sign that the gut is trying to push the toxins out, because the skin is the largest eliminating organ in our body. So also remember, if we are not having at least 2 bowel movements a day, then we can clearly see that our gut is unhealthy. So when our gut is unhealthy, our immune system is also unhealthy, because 80% of our immune system is made and manufactured in our gut. So an unhealthy immune system means we will have some more colds, infections. Don't talk about even sugar cravings are also a sign of an unhealthy gut, because of the parasites and the yeast, which tells us we need more sugar while they control and hijack our taste buds. So we got to really pay attention to our stomach. We have to pay attention to, and understand the signs and symptoms, so we can better address the issue and get and work on it. Get rid of it. To the seventh one, healing the gut naturally. And when we think of healing the gut, let's not think of it as a trash can that we just throw food in to be broken down, but as a beautiful garden. For instance, when we care, for instance, when I care for my garden, I groom it, I nourish it, I talk to my plants. I take out the unwanted weeds, because I want to know where did they come from. And if I leave them here, they're going to destroy my garden. So I got to get that. I restore the soil. If I need more soil, I put more soil. I turn it up if I see there's something. So we have to think of our stomach as of a garden. And any of us on the line that takes care of a garden will know exactly how to take care of their stomach, you know? So number one, you will eat to live and to cleanse. That means don't eat anything to clog the system, and eat living that is not dead. That means you don't have to eat a whole food plant-based diet, but most important, a raw diet. And I know some of us it's hard to make the transition, but just like they say in business, you take little steps. And after a while, you will take big steps. But you got to start somewhere, because our health, besides God, is the most important, the next important thing. Number two is intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is when you create a time you stop eating and a time you start. For instance, you can stop from 7 a.m. in the morning and start the next day at 10 a.m. Because basically your body the system need rest. If we need rest, we ourselves need rest, our systems need rest too. So that would practically give you like, for instance, you can start from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Instead of you a 15-hour window, which gives your digestive system, the gut, time to rest. Now, when the gut is able to rest, it restores and it repairs the digestive system. This makes intermittent fasting very helpful in obtaining a healthy gut. Number 3, fiber. Fiber is found only in plants, so increase our fiber intake and the diversity of plants and the diversity of different types of fiber is suitable. That way we will also get a diversity of nutrients into our gut that will help it to be healthy. Number 4 is detox. We must detox our gut by getting that waste out. Why? Because there is about 10 to 25 pounds of undigested food just sitting and rotting and fermenting in our gut. And this occurs because we are not eating enough food with fiber, but eating food full of preservatives, dyes, and the list goes on, and y'all know of it. A lot of the stuff that we eat that's not good. And these foods are not what our bodies is accustomed to eating in the first place, which cause the unhealthy and toxic gut. So we got to detox our gut using herbs that were made for cleansing the gut. For example, when your pet, your dog or cat eats something that is not supposed to eat. You could see it. I look at my dogs. They go look and they just don't eat any grass. They go and look for a particular grass. They eat it, and when a couple of hours after, you see them clearing their, bringing whatever was in their stomach right out by the grass. And these are dogs, so or cats or animals in just out in nature. They take care of themselves. They don't even need to go to the vet. You don't have to call your vet and say, hey, my dog got an upset stomach and I need some kind of medication to help them, even though some people actually do that. But God has made everything available, not only for us, but for also the animals. And they have common sense to go and look for the grass that they need. And we of higher intelligent, even if we don't have the grass in our garden or the herb in our garden, we have the ability to purchase it or look for it or seek it, but sometimes we just don't take time for self. And that's why we cheat ourselves. And that's why we cheat ourselves of a longevity. We cheat ourselves of life itself, you know? So detox is very important for the gut. So it's very important to detox the gut for our very well-being. Number 5, get adequate sleep. And we hear that all the time. Get rest, sleep. I hear some people say, well, I get 2 hours of sleep. I got this to do. I got that to do. I'm so busy. Well, let me tell you, the system has its own way of shutting down without asking your permission. And so we have to take heed. Yes, we got to get this done. Yes, we got to get that done. But let me tell you, I see people laying in the hospital and nothing is getting done. And they barely could worry if the house is clean. Did you wash the dishes? They can't think of none of that because now they are overwhelmed. They have so much other things to think about. Suppose I don't make it. All kind of things running through their head, so they can't even think of the things that they that seemed so important before, and now they are no longer important. So get adequate sleep. When we get adequate sleep, the body is able to restore and repair itself. If we don't get adequate rest, the body will not be able to restore itself or even repair. And then we will experience signs and symptoms that I talked about already, about our unhealthy gut and digestive system. So during the healing process or period, we must make sure while healing the gut that we get 8 hours of sleep every night to obtain that healthy gut. And why so? Because you're not going to the doctor or you're going to your physician or the hospital to get a prescription for it. You're going to take control and work it because it's simple and it's natural. There's no side effects. Side effect if you overdo something too much. Okay? So get that sleep in every night. Some people might say 8 hours is too much for me, or some people say, when I go home to the Heavenly Father, I get rest in. Okay, but we don't even know how long that rest gonna be. We can only imagine or assume. Number 6 is stress management. So when we stress, it causes the gut to become very unhealthy, and we know that too because it even causes it to become acidic. So if we are stressed out, it might cause us to get stomach ulcers with other implications. So let's do our best to manage our stress. Now, I'm not talking about being stress free because that will be difficult to be stress free in this stressful world. But we can properly manage stress by changing our habits, meditating, and have some coping mechanism in place to handle when we are stressed. Okay. And number 7 is incorporating these 5 superfoods that that leads to a healthy gut, basically. And these foods are mushrooms. And it's just not any kind of mushroom. You have to do your research because not all mushrooms are okay. I think portobello, I'm not sure, I can't remember that one Dr. CP talked about, but I think that's the one I used to eat. I'm not sure. And those mushrooms itself contains a prebiotic. Now, prebiotics, they actually feed probiotics, which is good bacteria. Okay, so you're putting good stuff in there. And when that way the bad bacteria don't control you or make you can't concentrate because it's just messing up the whole system. Okay, so mushrooms are also medicinal, and of course, they boost the immune system. Number 2 is sea moss. Now, getting sea moss from Ireland is the best sea moss, it's natural, it's organic, but just sea moss itself is healthy for the gut because it's high in fiber and it forms a gel in the gut, which is an anti-inflammatory, you know. So that sea moss really is healthy for the gut. And sea moss has like over 95 minerals and nutrients in it. So it's really good because you can put it in your smoothies, you can put it in your teas. You can use it in any which way in your gravies and whatever you're doing. You can always add it because it's a gel-like form. And number 3 is slippery M, which is kind of like it has that gel, that anti-inflammatory property, just like sea moss. But this slippery M, you can put it in a tea. You can drink it as a tea. It also would form that gel, which is very soothing to the gut, and it's also, like I said, anti-inflammatory. And number 4 is coconut kefir. Coconut kefir rid of the overgrowth of bad bacteria and fungus. Also, caprylic acid get rid also of a lot of unhealthy yeast and candida in the body or in the gut. Coconut kefir is high in potassium, which is good for the kidneys and our blood pressure. It also hydrates the gut with electrolytes, which are minerals that our gut needs to function properly throughout the day. So you know what? Look it up, check it out. And last but not least is onions. And a lot of people don't like onions because I think I usually hear people say, "Oh my God, my breath smell like onions." Oh, and what's not best is better than having bad breath that smell toxic for real. So onions is the last superfood that they are really important. And I talk about onions before. And most people know about onions, but most people really don't like them. Onions contains inulin, which is a prebiotic. And remember what the prebiotic does? It feeds the probiotic, which is good bacteria for the gut. So the inulin in onions actually build the gut flora inside of the good bacteria, which is inside of the gut. So as you can see, the importance of the gut, the health of the gut, because like it stated, it starts from the gut and it ends with the gut. So we need to learn how to take care of that gut. We really got to be um knowledgeable and alert to know, hey, I gotta be careful what I put in my gut. I gotta be careful what I drink. So you gotta keep your gut in mind. It's almost like how we gotta keep focus on God. We gotta keep our focus also on our gut. That's why I shared these. I thought it would be important to talk about our gut because it said it's also considered a second brain because it has its own system. But in that all, even though it has its own system, it also collaborate with the brain because it has some of the same, like I said, neurotransmitters and cells. So let's treat our gut like a garden. And for us who don't have a garden, let's learn how to take care of our gut by even researching or looking up topics. How can I clean my gut? How can I take care of my gut? The information is there, the knowledge is there. All we got to do is seek it. All we got to do is seek it because we want to live not only a healthy lifestyle, but let it be a lifestyle until the end of times. So we can really enjoy our life and our loved ones and help Mr. Ashma Farah to uplift humanity. So let's say we have a bad bowel moving bowel smell, we know that our gut is unhealthy. If we have migraines, it might be a reason. Check out these signs and symptoms. Make sure we are detoxing, make sure we're getting enough rest, eat to live and to clean, do some intermittent fasting. And we need to do that more because we don't do that enough, but we eat more than we fast and we don't clean out. But we have our cars. We make sure that our bathrooms are good. We make sure that our self is looking good. And then all that looking good. And one day we fall down and they say, like, well, what's wrong? She was looking so healthy. What happened? So that's more reason for us to take care. Eat the fiber that we need. When you go get a colonoscopy, they always give you a little leaflet telling you, hey, you need to eat more fiber. Let's take our health of great importance to ourselves, to our families. We need to be around for them, you know? Get adequate sleep, manage your stress. If you are in a stressful a job or situation, learn to manage it, find outlets. Don't let it take you over, and then your whole all messed up, your brain is messed up. Now you is messed up because when everything is not going right in your system, nothing is going to go right with you. So I thank each and every one of you for your listening ear. I appreciate it. Appreciate you, and thanks again. And back to you, Dr. Betty.
Thank you. Well, look, I didn't know, I never knew the importance of guts. That is why I keep asking people, let me say our brand ambassadors, to come here and learn. Well, I will be quiet at the moment. Queen Violet, could you please proceed? Unmute yourself, Queen Violet.
There we go. Yeah. You were saying about maggots in the garbage. The way to handle that is when you have your coffee, ground coffee, put the grounds in the garbage.
Okay.
You won't have any maggots.
Thank you, Queen
I
Violet.
tried that
Appreciate
and it worked. Because
Amen.
I
Thanks.
remember we took our garbage out onto the balcony, and then one day we opened it more in and it was like crawling like crazy, and it was like, oh, gross. And then I started putting my like I use Keurig, so I started opening those things, throwing them in there,
Wow.
and they all went away.
Wow.
So I guess
Awesome.
flies don't like them.
Nope.
That's it. That's my
Thank
2
you.
cents worth for today so far.
Thank
Never
you.
know, I might come up with more.
You will. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you so much, Queen Violet, for your love and support. Queen Dr. T, could you please proceed?
Yes. JW,
Yes, my
you
dear.
okay, it's two things. You were talking intermittent fasting. I don't know if this was a mistake or did you mean this? Now you said something like from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Did you mean 7 p.m. to 10 a.m.?
No, they had
Stop.
it like really took, I mean, some even do longer than that, but I meant 7 a.m. one day till 10, then you can start eating the following day till 10 a.m.
Okay, because I practice intermittent
I know we do
fasting.
6 from 6. I do that too.
Okay, so what I may do is I'll stop eating, I'll have my last meal at 5 o'clock p.m. and then I don't eat again until the next day, 11 or 12 o'clock.
Yes, you could do it that way. Yes, that way the body really get the rest it need. I mean, I know the Islams. He said like 48 hours after one meal, but I know some people
Right. Okay.
can do it, but you know how it goes.
Okay. Now the other question is, maybe I missed something, but did you talk about the kind of onions to eat? They're all
Yes, just onions in itself because it has inulin. It has that it's not an acid. It's almost like a nutrient inside of it, inulin, which is a prebiotic. So it that prebiotic in the inulin of the onion actually feeds the probiotic, which is good, good bacteria.
okay. What about anything fermented like sauerkraut?
Well, that's it didn't mention any of those fermented sometimes they might not be so good on because they are
Sauerkraut.
fermented.
Okay. Okay.
But if you get the gut in good health, of course, then you
Mm.
can enjoy the fermented like sauerkraut. I know for sure, and there's some others
Okay.
that you can. But it's the health of the gut. You have to know how the health of your gut is, and those some of the signs and symptoms I list is simple to know if hey I got a problem or not.
Okay. Okay. With excellent presentation,
Thank you, my
Dr.
dear.
Dr. JW. Johnson, no, I'm sorry, not MD. You're naturopathic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Naturopathic. Yeah, I don't want to insult you like that. Naturopathic. There you go.
Because
Excellent.
people get in trouble for that title.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Dr. T. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you so much, Queen JW. I would say astonishing mindset, Now, you started from the beginning, making us to understand the importance of our Heavenly Father. I am so thrilled whenever somebody talk about our God, our Creator. It makes me happy because He woke all of us up this morning.
You did.
You say, well, in my own way, say that the gods technically it is a gastrointestinal tract, right, or a digestive system, a pathway
Yes.
from your mouth,
It starts from the mouth.
from your mouth to down there,
Yeah.
right?
Wow. It begins at one end and ends at the other. Isn't that
Okay.
something?
Thank you. So God's the health is the function and the balance of every living thing. Or I'm sorry, everything that goes on there.
Mm-hmm.
And within the guts, there is a human guts. They call it microbiome.
Microbiome.
Yes,
Yeah.
which is a collective of microbiota. That is one's very own incredible complex of what the ecosystem of bacteria, of the
Mm-hmm.
viruses and fungi.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you make also understand that because Dr. T asked you about the onions. You said there is no difference between like the red onions, the white onions, or the yellow onions. So they all contain powerful compound that can help to decrease the risk of heart diseases and certain cancers. To tell the truth, I didn't know that. That they all have what? Antibacteria properties, which it promotes what? The digestive health, which it improves what? The immune system. What? Now, you also make us to understand about stress when it comes to that we have to manage the stress, right?
Yes.
With the stress now, which we all know that chronic stress is closely related to the guts health, partially or partly, which it is explained by the close relationship between your guts and the brain, called the
Yes, indeed.
guts brain axis. Mm, mm, mm. I just want to thank you for this amazing presentation.
You're welcome, Queen Dr. Benny.
All right. Does anyone have any exciting something? Are you guys excited about this amazing presentation? This is a mindset, which is very important for you and I. If you have any question, well, we can wait. And after the presentation of our Queen Rahel, and you guys can just raise your hands and ask your questions. All right. At this moment, you guys know our presenter for tonight. This our lady here. What I know about her is that she works at the human resource department. You know, the hiring, they hire and fire people, right? That's human resource. And sometimes I'm afraid of them, but Queen Rahel, I just know that she is a dedicated brand ambassador who always wear multiple hats, especially when it comes to our dream team. She does like 5 different things that whenever, uh, let me say, if Dr. Derek is not there for the updates, she has to help and do the work. Now, when it comes to moderators, if not there, she will do it. When the mindset are not there, she will do it. Question and discussion, she is there. I don't know. But the dedication that she has, she is always determined. She will always be there when Queen Dr. Patience Ajungwe calls her. Then our King Dr. Derek needs Queen Rahel all the time, and she's always there for him. This woman, you know, I cannot really describe her because you guys really know who she is. She is an affiliate. She is a brand ambassador of Unpassive. She is dedicated. She is determined. She will do what it takes. When an assignment is being given to her, she goes and do her research, and then she comes down and start questioning us. Topic for tonight. She's the only one that knows that topic, but she's going to present to all of us. She's going to ask us some questions, and please get ready. Let us welcome our one and only Queen Kanla Rahel. I missed herself.
Oh my goodness. Queen Dr. Benny, First Lady of Unpassive. With this heartwarm welcome and introduction, oh my God, I hope I am up to the task for today. That is just so beautiful of you to welcome me and introduce me. I appreciate it. And I love you, my dear sister, Queen and First Lady of Unpassive. Thank you so much. And truly, I am an affiliate. I love Unpassive, like all of us love Unpassive, because I know we all love Unpassive. And that is why we are here. And Queen Sister J.W., oh my goodness. That was a beautiful mindset you shared with us today. So many nuggets. I started writing and I stopped and I said, okay, let me just listen and pay attention. And that was beautifully done. Dr. Benny summed it up in a nice way, and also from Dr. T, the follow-up questions. How we sometimes realize that we take some things for granted, or what we do not realize the impact, the significance to our health. So, but when we attend sessions like this and it is brought to you and you hear it from somebody else, it is always better. It is always good. And that is the mindset that we need to have. Me, you, all of us. It reinforces for those that are already implementing some of those strategies, some of those plans. And for those that are yet to begin, it's an encouragement. I mean, Queen JW talked of healthy foods, and I was just like laughing with you or shaking my head, because I know sometimes what I do. I realize that I know what it means to eat healthy food, but then sometimes I just let go and I eat food that is unhealthy. I'm sure each one of us here will know when you go and you eat food that is full of sugar or sweet, and then you put on 2-3 pounds within an hour or so, and then you spend 1 week and 2 weeks and you are struggling to get rid of that weight. And especially when you are becoming a senior citizen, like we say, you're becoming of age, we understand what that means. And it goes right straight to what Queen JW talked about, how it impacts your gut. The moment you put it into your mouth, it makes its way down there and then to your stomach. So thank you so much. That is just what I had to the mindset before I get into our presentation for today. We are doing 2 of our unconscious bias. And think for one moment how the mindset, which was a healthy gut or our as a whole, how sometimes we also have unconscious bias when it comes to our health, to ourselves and to others around us. Let that sink for a minute. I know last week we talked about different types of unconscious bias, but let us think for 1 minute while I share my slide how unconscious bias can impact your health and how we can connect it with the mindset that our queen just shared with us today. First lady, please let me know when if you see my slide.
Okay, I've seen it. We haven't, yes, this is just the beginning.
Do you see just the viewer or the presenter view?
I see
Presenter view.
presenter view.
Okay. All right, it's coming up right now. So do let me know what you see from N. Okay. It looks, does that look okay now to you?
Yes. Presenter.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Awesome. That is great. So yes, I bringing you back. So today we are doing part 2. Last week, for those that were not here last week and maybe within a week you've not had the time to go back to look at the slides and the presentation, this is so that you get caught up with what we discussed about unconscious bias. What is unconscious bias? I know we have different ways in which we can describe or we can define or we can explain. And guess what? There are many different ways that can be defined or explained. But actually, is that really the right question we should be asking? And so in this case, the question is not, do we have bias? But rather, the correct question is, which are yours? Because every human being created in God's image, in our fallacy, in our weakness, in our profession, everything we do on a daily basis, we do have biases. And recall, not of our fault, but because of our backgrounds, because of who we are, your diversity, your culture, how you were brought up. All of that, the blueprint of your life shapes who you are. And with that comes some bias that we carry with us, consciously and unconsciously. And so that is why it is said that unconscious bias is or can be referred to as the assumptions that we carry with us, some beliefs that we carry with us, attitudes that we carry with us. And whether we realize it or not, consciously or unconsciously, it influences you, me, our lives every day. The person next to you, at home, at work, within the wider community, and even within the wider geographical community when we get out of our geographical region. The way we think, the way we interact, our relationships, all of this, we realize that sometimes we have some biases within us. And so, again, my question will be for you to ask yourself, which ones are yours, and hold that with you, because when we get to the section where we want to use real life examples, it will be able to help you to do some self-reflection. And maybe with your notebook, you can write down some of those biases that you have. Maybe you were not aware, or maybe you did not just think it comes across as a form of bias. Write them down, and that will be an opportunity for you to work on them, to be better. And so equally from last week, we had a whole a number of types of bias. These are just a few. But if you go back to the slide of last week, there are a lot more. And may I say, this is not an exhaustive list, as I may say, because guess what? Every day we express different forms of biases depending on our life experiences. And last week, we dwelt more on cultural bias after trying to understand a few of which the definition or the understanding of each of it. So if you were not here sometime last week and you have a question, or you may want to understand each of them that is on this list, you can put it in the chat so that we can read and we can go back and revisit it. Or if you want to talk when we get to where you are able to raise your hand and say something, please do not hesitate. But here we go. So to permit us go to the next slide. So for us to go to our icebreaker, it's going to take us today where our conversation is going to be. And we are going to answer that question. Which ones are mine? Which ones are yours? And we are going to do it using this beautiful self-reflection write-up that truly cuts through our inner self. Sometimes you may not feel comfortable, or sometimes if you feel sensitive about it, yes, then maybe that is something that may come across or is coming across as a form of bias. So please take your note and pen, write it down as we go and we do the self-reflection, and then we will be engaging and come and share our experiences to you or a few, so that we all learn from each other, because I know all of us, our experiences are not going to be the same. At work, at home, and even our journey with unpassive, because I bet you we all have expressed some form of bias, even while we have been on this journey of unpassive. Of course, we all know what has been happening, the difficulties. In the face of difficulties, sometimes we express them and it comes across as bias, willingly or not, consciously or not. So please do not hesitate. And so we will say, as much as sensitive as this may be to some people, I understand that and we respect that. We want to understand that every time you say it aloud or you make some form of confession to many people, wherever you are, in your home, within the community, it may not be the best idea, especially in this time. But guess what? You just have to say it. How many of us will have this thought where you want to say something, you feel like, okay, I want to do it, but then the size or the environment where you are, what people are doing, and you say, oh, oh, this is not the right time, this is not the right place. But guess what? You just have to say it. And so let us listen to some of those examples that we really want to say it and share as a family. Brothers, sisters, queen, kings of one family, unpassive, that we are here together. So, you ready? Take a deep breath. So, here we go. I'm prejudiced. I judge people before I even know who they really are. I jump to conclusions about others with zero evidence to justify how I'm thinking and feeling. The truth is, I'm biased, and I confess. Let that sink in. Which one of you or who would say that it's not mine? It's not part of. Have you ever judged somebody like that? Rush to conclusion with zero evidence. Please write it down on your notebook or wherever, even if you're typing on your phone, or make your little note. Is this one of yours? Share with us later. I don't feel any shame for what I just wrote to you. In fact, I feel a sense of pride. Proud of myself for doing what most people are afraid to do. To take a really good look at myself and see the things I do not like. Have you ever written something to somebody and then later on you say, oh my goodness, what have I done? And another time you feel so good about it. A letter, it can be responding to maybe a text message on your WhatsApp, at work. Somebody has made you so angry, and you write and you just send it. Remember how they say when you are at this, do not write or do not say something, because you will not be in your right senses to say something at that state of mind, and you do not want to say something or write something that you come back and regret. And the shame that comes with it after you've done that already. Please write it down from your own experience. Is it one of yours? And share with us. And because you can't change it, you can't change it if you can't see it. Instead, you point the finger at everyone else, never noticing that there are three fingers pointing at you. Oh my. I mean, this is how I know we'll say when you point a finger at the person next to you, you have 1, 2, 3 pointing back at you. You don't see it. Is this one of yours as well? Whatever you were engaged in communication, intent of what you want to share, you don't see it from another person's perspective or through their lens. You are not open, you are not willing to even listen. I mean, I remember as children, when we play or children play in the house, many of us here are parents, we know when siblings play together and maybe something is destroyed in the house. It could be the drawer, the dress drawer, it could be plates, or you throw a ball, you break windows, or you have a dent on the door, and mom and dad comes and start questioning, okay, who's responsible for this damage? What do? We point at the next person. You're pointing and you have the rest pointing at you, but you don't see it. You were a part of it. You were together when that was happening, but you don't notice it. Or even in other responsibilities as adults that we do. At work, you fail to see your own responsibility, your own part that you play in it. A very good example will be what is currently happening with our own passive business, right? We have experienced challenges along this journey. 5 years, but we are still going. And what is happening? When the challenges keep mounting, with our OES is open, we can go in, we see our information, but we cannot do as much as we already had experience when we were able to go in there, have our meetings, use our O-Connect, and the other products. And so now, in the face of challenges, what are we doing? We are pointing the finger at our CEO, Mr. Ash Mofare, and failing to see that we are all part of it. And instead of being supportive, instead of playing our role, our mindset, learning about the product, be ready. What do? Some have given up. Some are no longer as active as they are. And yet, you're pointing the finger at our CEO, Mr. Ash, because you fail to see. If you spot it, then you've got it. If you see, then you've got it. So for those that stayed, we saw it and we have it. We've got it. And we will continue. Those that did not see, they are yet to get it. And hopefully they get it. And they come back and continue with us on the journey. And when you get it, or for those of us that have got it, it is not only just for us. It is for everybody, because then, for me, you, and the entire Unpassive family. What has been your experience with this? We go to the next. Your brain is wired for bias. I know we can have great conversations about this. How? Type, examples. Yes, but if you look at it deeply, your brain is wired for bias. It's weird. It's wired to prejudge rather. Pardon me. To leap to conclusions without verification. to take every energy conserving shortcut it possibly can in order to make you feel safe in an uncertain world. Oh my goodness, how true is that? Because we see only from our own lens. We see only what we want to say. Our brains allow us to see what we want to say. And our blueprint, our mindset, our upbringing, the food we eat, like our Queen JW said, our circle, our community, our family, your environment, all of that help us and guide us, or is a reflection of how our brain is wired. And so, depending on which way you are or who you are, what you do, what you eat, then you start having some situations quick to jump to conclusions without even verification. And what do you say? Oh, it's right. I know I am right. Is what is supposed to be, or that is how it's supposed to be. It can be the only one that is right. Your brain. I know. Also, we take so many shortcuts because we don't want to follow the entire process. Again, our brain is what is telling us. Is that one of your bias? You can share whether when it comes to your health, when it comes to your age, or when it comes to height, when it comes to affinity, when it comes to um, um, let's say our business. Is that one of yours? Please write it down. We go to the next one. To not be biased is to not be human. Failing to admit your bias makes you part of the problem. You just run around acting like your poop don't stink, fouling up the room when it's you who needs changing. Yes, that was a diaper. I know. I mean, I'm reading it aloud, but I wish take your time and you read it. And does this resonate? Does it connect with the wellness tip that our sister JW just said? How what we put into our mouth, what goes into our mouth, goes through our gut, into our stomach, through the entire digestive system, will be a reflection of what comes out. And she talked about that fouling smell, or that foul smell when you don't eat healthy, when you don't follow some of the health tips. Well, guess what? It's not only in health. It's a human. How about our mental mindset? When you fail to take care of your mental mindset, what happens? We know of things like depression. We know of many things like anger management and responsibilities that you're supposed to do. Success doesn't come your way. Your life fulfillment doesn't happen. You're not able to tap to your spirituality, your blessings that God has given you, your God given potential. You have to be able, in connection with God's will, God's grace, to be able to achieve that potential as human, the spiritual, the physical, the mental, the socio-economic, our duties to be able to have something to survive on, to live on, our work. So the issue is not that we don't have them, because then you are not honest, but which ones are yours and how are you aware of them and addressing them? So we don't find ourselves in this scenario. If this is one of yours, please write down, make a note, and share with us. The next one is, the world would be a better place if we acknowledge our bias. Yes, I just made mention. So if we all made an effort to make our unconscious bias conscious, oh my goodness, how much transparency can we get? Just in our daily interaction with one another. Your friend, your siblings, your parents, between couples, siblings, your community, our unpassive community. So in that way, we can step in and stop our hyper-judgmental or survival or obsessed brains from doing what they do. Our environment, our job, the food we eat, all of these things are what helps our brain to function the way they function, to act the way they act. I know the term here is hyper judgmental. Yes, we are quick. I know each one, there are some things in life where once you see it, you know the outcome. Once you see something happening, you know what is going to happen next. Those are survival instincts that our brain have cultivated, we've been groomed with from childhood to adulthood. And we keep on doing those things in the same way. And so when it gets to the point where we realize and we are aware of those that are coming with some biases, we can be able to help ourselves and not allow our brains to just keep on firing and doing it. And when we acknowledge these biases that we have, we create an opening for seeing people for who they are and not who we presume them to be. And we can reduce the impact of all our biases or some of our biases with deliberate attention and our effort in our daily lives, at work, in our unpassive business, all around us, and the world will be a better place for us. And so this activity I just shared with you now is thanks to Howard J. Ross. He's an author of Everyday Bias that I always like to go and learn a lot from him because it's so educational if we get to know. And again, I'm putting up this slide to help you look at some of the different forms of bias in which you can reflect and write down some of your own life experiences to share with us as we begin the next phase of sharing our life experiences. at least many of us. Feel free to raise your hand and share, or write it in the chat and Queen Dr. Benny will read it out for us. Again, we have age, we have 8 older adults, young as a teenager. What has been your experience? Name, we have different ethnic names. We all have experiences. We know how some people are not fond of other people's names that come with their culture, who they are, their background. The language we speak, our ethnic languages, is not the same. Someone who does not have a mother tongue will find your language maybe not somewhat pleasing or accepting, as if they have an authority to judge and determine that your language is good or not. No. And that is being biased. If they need to accept you for who you are, accept you holistically for who you are. Your gender, we know that. Male, female, and all the different other types of gender, which we know. LGBTQ. Religion, oh my, we know. All the different types of religion. Sexual orientation. Status quo. Perception. Affinity. Confirmation. You always want to seek confirmation. So, at this time, I would like us to go into sharing our experiences, but let me begin with mine, one that just I have here. And this is bias that comes through with many different factors to consider. So think of you growing in your village, wherever you were born, with your parents, your sisters, your siblings, in a community in the 90s or in the 60s or in the 70s, in the 80s. What was your experience? Well, for me, it was a poor community, poor in the sense that not in terms of infrastructure as the cities. And at that time, we came from different backgrounds. You had other families that were affluent, and I come from a family that was middle class. But at the same time, around us, we had families that were even not doing as well or as average as my family where I was raised or I was born and raised. And so what I learned growing up was that those that were affluent around our environment, guess what? They've had this sense of unease being around those that were coming from a poor background, or they did not have anything. At that time, I did not see it. And guess what? Sometimes I caught myself and I found myself doing the same thing, looking at my neighbor or looking at my other friends of the same generation as not equal. I think there is a term that we use within the community: social status, your class, your societal class, the top 1%, the top middle class, and then you have the bottom poor. You begin to look at other people with unease because of all the different reasons that you can think of, their ethnic backgrounds, the way they talk, age difference, gender, religion, their sexual orientation, their perception, their ideology, many more, much more. But then, as I eventually left the village to go live with my aunt in the city, that perception of me started changing. Now, everybody within the city was average, middle class, or affluent. And so, guess what? I said, oh my God, have I been biased? And if you ask me why I was feeling unease around some of my friends and classmates, I had no reason. But my brain was wired in that manner. But however, over time, the next time I visited and I returned and I went back to the village, I made it my duty to be open, connect, and be able to go back and try to regain some of those relationships. But guess what? At that time, all of your friends, your childhood friends, you never go back and you meet everyone at the same level. And so sometimes you carry that with you wherever you go. But then, to me, that was what changed when I left the village and to the city and then came back. That was how I got my awareness. And thanks to my mother, the woman who raised me, was able to bring that to me. The fact that you may be better today does not mean you'll be better tomorrow. Don't look at others. You don't even think for 1 second to look at somebody with unease, rather to know them. And while I was doing this presentation, what crossed my mind was the following. Because of sometimes we know of the negative stereotypes that we grow to learn, or sometimes we even are taught. The other is your personal experiences, like I said, your personal experiences from childhood to adulthood. The environment in which you grow predominantly plays a major role. And so all of this, at one point in time for me, I realized that unconsciously, without even knowing it, I grew up with that sense of a little bit of bias in me. And ever since I was able to be exposed to that, I try every day to be present consciously in everything I do, not to let that bias override my interactions, my environment where I am, my personal activities, no matter where I am. And so, and even when I do that, I acknowledge it and I engage in that conversation, because being aware, acknowledging, but not engaging or saying it out loud, as we heard, sometimes it helps. Those are the ways that you can actually get it out. And then you tend to realize that your brain now gets that and retains that. And when you're exposed with that form of bias again, you'll be quick to say, oh no, this is just me now trying to, no, I don't want to get there. And then you correct yourself. Yeah. All right. So That was my sharing. I have another one, but I would like to hear from all of us present here. Please feel free. This is a conversational topic. Hearing from one person is good, but hearing from many more, we all get to learn because our life experiences are always different. So thank you. And while we open up the house now for other members to share their experiences, so please feel free to raise your hand so we can open up on mute for you to share your experience, or write it in the chat, and then we will work with the few we have, and then we end the session. So let me stop sharing. If you need me to put up any of the slides, kindly let me know. Queen Dr. Benny.
Yes, I want to thank you for this amazing presentation when it comes to bias. When there's something about like gender bias, which is happening, it's really happening not only within this country, but all over the globe. The favoring of one gender over another. Do you guys know that in certain places, they will only prefer men to do things? They always put women down. That's what I know. Notice. You guys may not like it, but I'm telling you. Now, this bias occurs when someone unconsciously associates certain stereotype within different genders. This type of bias may affect recruitment. You guys notice, I believe I have stated it before. When you go to your job, when you're looking for a job, I made a statement before. If you are a database administrator, you are looking for that job. But just to let you know that it's going to be a little bit difficult for people like Africans to get that job. I am saying it because I know it. The Indians are in charge of that. It's not a problem. I wish Africans can do the same, right? It is very difficult. So another gender gap. Now, as of 2021, the average of median salary. Now, when it comes to salary, what I noticed long time ago in this country, that they will pay men more than women, which is not fair. Why do I say it's not fair? I think maybe I should even talk to the president. Reason because we do have single women, single mothers, just like single fathers, right? So if they are paying, if a single mother goes to work or looking for a job, they hire her. Sometimes you notice that, let me say the husband died and then the mommy is by herself with 4 children. Now, if she is looking for a job, most of the time, hey, they say they will pay more men, they'll pay more money. That is not fair. I think that thing it should stop, not only in this country, but all over the globe. I hope everybody is listening to. I am talking about to all the presidents in United States, the president in United States, in the president in every country. Make sure that treat men and women the same when it comes to job opportunities. Pay them the same. If the salary is $100,000 and that young lady is qualified for the job, give it to her and pay her that money. Don't say you want to pay the man 120,000 and pay the woman 100,000. That is not fair. That is gender bias. Now, young people, my brothers and sisters, proceed. I just wanted to open the way for you guys to say something. Queen Kanla, did I say something good or what?
Absolutely. Yes, you did. That was a very good example. Yes. So now you've talked about gender, socioeconomic, pay gap. Absolutely. Good example. And we all experience it. It doesn't matter where the nature of the job you do. and you are told you don't share what you earn with the next person. So if somebody tells you nobody should know how much you earn, what does that tell you?
Means that
From the
hide.
get-go, they have something to hide.
Hmm?
And if you have something to hide, what does that tell you? That is the bias. The intent is the bias when it comes to gender jobs, pay gap. So thank you. That was a very good example.
Thank you so much. Let's talk to Queen.
Yes, I can see Queen Violet.
Queen Violet, proceed, please.
Yes. What happened to me was I started driving transit buses and came into the division one time. I was setting up, and this young guy, if I can call him that, green, they don't know anything yet. He said to me, he says, "Why are you working here? You're taking a job away from a man." And I said, "Pardon me?" I said, "I keep sending the cat out, but he never comes back with any food for me, so I have to work." And he said something like, "Yeah, okay." I said, "I had a husband and he left, found someone better, and so I'm single and I have a cat. And every once in a while he goes out, but he never comes back with anything for me to eat. I don't know if he even ate out there." So yeah, that's my that was my answer to him. And now I use, "This is a good country, this Canada. You have the right to be wrong." Did you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you said something about Canada. This is the state of Canada. You have the right to be wrong.
Well, it goes for United States also. No?
You're sure right. They have the right to be wrong all the time.
Yep.
Mhm.
And you make them aware of it, and it's like they stand there and they're thinking and thinking, "Yeah, you got it right. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry," kind of thing.
Wow. Yeah, that is a great example. And also let me pick up on the point you made, telling you that you're here taking away the jobs or taking away a job from a man. Again, that is stereotype bias, that gender bias, that sexual orientation bias, that is confirmation, so or affinity. According to him, he sees driving a bus as masculinity, and as a woman or feminine, it is not right. But who said so?
A-
It is shaped by his perception, it is shaped by his background, it is shaped by how he was raised, it is shaped by the environment, and it is shaped by his circle, the people around him, education, exposure, all of this.
And the other thing I could have told them was, during the war, I'm sorry, during the war, it was all women driving. They drove all transit. There were very few men driving transit. And then when they came back from the war, well, you had to give up your job so that they would have one.
Exactly, yeah. So So some of those biases are still with us today, and the more we are aware of them, I mean, again, like we said, when we identify which ones are ours, then we work better in addressing them and making sure we don't repeat them. But as humans, we will always have those biases with us. So thank you.
All right. Uh, may I please say something?
Yes, Queen Dr. Benny.
This one is about name. Name bias.
Yes.
Okay. I will give you, well, before that, a name bias is a tendency to prefer certain names over others, usually Anglo-sounding names. Name bias is most prevalent in recruitment. If a recruiter tends to offer interview to a candidate with Anglo-sounding names over equally qualified candidates with non-Anglo names, this is a bias. When it comes to this name, I have a friend of mine. Her name, well, her last name is White. That's her last name. Okay. There was an opportunity. She's an African American. There was a job opportunity. Do you know when they found out that the name is White, she 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 was happy that they call her an interviewer. When she arrived at the job, they said, "What's your name?" My name is Julie White. Do you know they told her that the job is not is no longer available? I am not lying. I am not lying. Just because she was a Black American. She went to that interview with that nice name called White. They thought, to tell the truth, they thought she was a white girl. She went there and the job was not given to her. They told her that the job has been filled up. Can you believe it? This is name bias to me.
Yes, yes, yes,
God.
100%. Name bias. Yes, it is.
And when you have African names, this type of long, long names is another trouble. You know that.
Yeah.
If you have like Wilson, Robinson, and all that is good. But when you have this name Shokoloko Bangoshe, that is too much. You know that. Sorry. Well, I've given my own.
You're right. You're right. I mean, take a look at our names, not only our African names, our brothers and sisters in the islands. Our names are very unique because they are our identity, right? My name is Kanla, but here they will say Kala. Oh, Kala is them trying to like make it sound so good, but that is not my name. Yours is Singlet, but they will have difficulties pronouncing the name, right?
Absolutely.
Again, nothing wrong with being biased because bias is part of our being human. But when you allow it to express itself in a way that it becomes prejudice and you fail to acknowledge another person, then that is when the impact becomes negative or it has a detrimental impact to the person that you're expressing that bias towards. And sometimes this name bias, you know how we say, oh my God, did I just butcher somebody's name? Yes. When you, but then after some time, you're able to learn the pronunciation or you learn the phonetics, or you may ask, okay, I am not able to pronounce the entire name. Do you have like a shortcut of calling it, or do you have a nickname of calling it? That is a way that you can work around name bias if it is difficult for you to be able to pronounce it. It works really well. You can use some of the nicknames or shortcuts, and it happens to many more. I mean, look at, have you seen a Russian name or a German name? Their name sounds like African names too, a version in their own way, the pronunciation, the alphabet letters do not match. You have to learn how to pronounce them, yes. But again, in cases like you're like Dr. Benny has just said, in our job places, instinctively, once we come across those names, our biases kick in. So you have to train your brain that yes, even though you see the name, do not allow your brain to immediately start functioning with that bias in you, but allow it to be able to see it for what it is and see the person for who they are in front of you, not what you presume them to be. So thank you for that. Do we have anything else in the chat, Dr. D? Dr. Benny, rather.
No. Oh,
Okay.
we have two
Oh, yes.
hands. All right. Oh, we have three hands. Okay. Queen Teda King, could you please proceed?
I just want to piggyback on what you just said, Dr. Benny, but before that, I just want to say thanks to Queen Jackie Warner for her outstanding presentation earlier. And that topic is such a good one, Jackie, that the gut is so important. And it's for all of us to take heed as to what we put in our mouth. Some of us love to eat, and so it gets us into trouble. So we have to be very careful. Um, Kanla, I got distracted at some point with your presentation, so I'm not really able to go through all the various areas that you had spoken about. I'm sorry about that, but that's how it is at times. But based on what you have said and the little that I've heard from what Dr. Benny just said, just today I had a visit of a nurse who said she was telling us her name, but she says it is not pronounced like that. She said she was working in a doctor's office some time ago, and the doctor couldn't pronounce her name. He gave her a different name. And unto this day, it's like the name, becomes a part of her, even though it's not really her proper name. So, I think some bias was there, but
Yes.
you can understand, you know, names are very difficult to pronounce at times. So, we just have to be very careful and understand other people's culture. We have bias is all around us in various ways. In sports, that's a great bias. Just recently, right here in the US, we have been hearing about the men playing basketball and the millions of dollars that they get. The ladies playing basketball and the small amount of money that they get. So there is such a broad sense of bias in that arena. But hopefully, it is changing slowly, and we hope it will continue. We have it in the military. Some people don't want women to work. Some people don't want to give the women certain jobs, even though they are even more qualified than some of the men. So it is all over. But hope within time that this situation can be reversed and we have a level playing field. And that's the good thing with Passive, that Passive is having a level playing field for all of us. If we want it, then we can get it, no matter if we're a man, no matter if we're a woman. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well said. Well said. Thank you. Just let me piggyback on one thing before we get the next person. You talked about the name calling, and sometimes the name sticks with you for as long as you are at work, in the workforce. Yes, that is true. I have some experiences with a few other people that I know, but guess what? The difference where you're able to break that ice or that threshold, make some money, become somebody important within the community, or become, like we talk of, the high profile politicians. Guess what? All the politicians, all the millionaires and the billionaires, all the doctors, or, I mean, not in a bad way, but when your status rises within the community, guess what? Because anyone who wants to interact with you at that high level, the first thing of awareness or consciousness is that, oh, I do not want to get their name wrong. And we all are aware how the first impression, or how it matters to get somebody's name correctly. And so sometimes that is what also helps to be able to break through. But when we are at the level where all of us are, and you hear a case where for years and years, not much effort has been done and it's still not being called properly, then yes, truly, I agree with you. That is so much bias added to it. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support. Queen Deda King. Queen Deda King. We appreciate you. We love you. Guess what? Our next brand ambassador is the one and only Queen Dr. T. Ford. Could you please proceed?
Thank you so much. Very good presentation. Um, Sounds like a psychology message. Something I would have taught. No, but excellent, and I really do appreciate it. I just wanted to piggyback on uh, the name.
Yes.
My name is very unusual, and my last name is Ford.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who's been born in America or anywhere would know that Ford is an American name.
Right.
But when you hear my first name, Tunisia,
Mm-hmm.
if you only knew how that name was butchered, and for many years I had an inferiority complex. I did not like my name until I realized that my name was very unique. I don't know anyone. Now I'm pretty sure there may be somebody out there who may have my name. Maybe somebody heard my name and named their little girl after me, and I just don't know it. But my name is very unique in that it is a Japanese name, but it means good, worthy, and honorable.
Hmm.
I have been called tuna fish, Tunishi. Now that doesn't sound anything like Tunisia.
No.
And this is from an English teacher. Her name was Mrs. Bernanke. She was my 8th grade teacher, and I knew that she did not like me. And she did everything in her power to give me an inferiority complex. And it really hurt me growing up until I got to an age where I realized that my name was my identity.
Correct.
And I realized that I had a purpose in my life. And I think that many of the biases are blind spots. And they're prejudices because people have their moral fibers. Like you said, they were brought up a certain way, and they really believe how they think is correct. They really believe that. And I think that when we get to a place where we learn that, the word of God talks about how can you see the speck in someone else's eye, but you can't see this beam hanging out of your own. And like you said, if you get to the place where you don't recognize that you have a being, it's going to turn into a prejudice that's going to really hurt people. And there are a lot of wounded people in the world because of conscious biases. There are a lot of people who are walking around wounded. There are a lot of people who are walking around who turn to violence, because someone hurt them because that person was prejudiced,
Correct.
because they did not deal with their unconscious bias. Therefore, they caused a ripple effect. And that's
Yes.
a lot of the things that you see in the world today. A lot of the hurt, the pain, the violence, the prejudice, things that we don't recognize. Even in religion, there's
Yes.
only one word. There should be only one God. One God. If we say we love God, but yet we have all these different interpretations of this one God. And that causes us to have an unconscious bias that leads to a lot of problems among humanity. So I wanted to let you know I really appreciate you bringing this message, and thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. Thank you.
Beautifully said, Dr. T. Thank you so much. Yes, yes, you summed it up beautifully. And I mean, my goal is that when we listen to this, or when we go back and we find time to listen to it, just be able to yourself and to others around you, recognize some of these that are yours, and then work towards them and be able to allow yourself to rise above that level where it doesn't. The biases do not get to that point where it has a negative impact on the next person, your brother, your sister, or the community. And I mean, the extremes, which Dr. Tanisha just told us, we are seeing so much violence right now in our community. Yes, it's as a result of those biases that we hold in us implicitly, and it manifests in that way. So thank you so much. That was beautifully said. All right, Dr. Benny, any more?
I I have something on the chat. Somebody
Yes.
wrote something on the chat.
Yes.
Oh, 1 second. Something good. I mean, this person always writes good stuff, and I like it. All right. Excellent presentation, Queen Kanla. But the Bible was the book that shaped the world with gender biases. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Because they prefer, like, hold on now. Brother, you are saying when you look at the Bible or during Jesus' time, there were only men. They did not have women for the 12 disciples. That is true. Okay, hold on. But this is a deep conversation, and this is not the right platform. But judging people of the being antisocial and being snobbish without knowing them is bad. Please, I said Bible, but it is most religion books. Okay, okay. Well, despite the fact that the Bible says so, so, and so, right? But sometimes we do have common sense, right? We're supposed to have common sense as humans, isn't it, Queen Kanla?
Yes.
Yeah, because we should know that God created man and woman. So when there is a job opportunity and that woman, let me say all of us went to school, right? We went to school, we are accountants, or we work as human resource. If I have all the opportunities, let me say references when it comes to like how long did you go, how long have you been working? When it comes to the experience. Now, if I have, as a woman, have more experience than the man, and they choose by the man, isn't that a bias? That's me. What I'm saying that they should not. With I'm not. Well, as for me, I don't think I'm judging. I am saying when it comes to like a database administrator, because I study Oracle, right? I did. I studied Oracle, and some of us went to look for a job opportunity, and they would give it to the Indians. That is the fact. Queen Violet, proceed, please.
Okay, the other thing,
Okay.
I forget what I was going to say. Sorry, didn't write it down. Go ahead.
Okay, yes, I just wanted to add that you made mention that this
I
is
remember now. Sorry. I was told by an inspector when I first started at TTC. I only got the job because I was a woman, because they were starting to bring in women into as drivers. And I remember one division I went to, they were all men, so they were allowed to use both washrooms. You wouldn't believe how many times I walked in on a man in the ladies' washroom until they twigged in to that we have women here now, so you can't use that washroom. That's it. Sorry.
awesome. No, that is great. Thank you for sharing. Now, I still want to go back to our brand ambassador, Malcolm Horace. I thank you for your contribution, and I want to add to what Dr. Benny just responded to you, that the point of this presentation is bringing out that which is sensitive to us, or those things that we feel like we are not able to discuss or to talk about them. Unconscious bias is one of those things is sensitive to some people because it touches some of those aspects. And the fact that the example that has been used or expressed here has been gender bias, it does not mean that this is the wrong platform to talk about it. Who says that is the wrong platform to talk about it? We talk about gender everywhere. So that misses the point. The main goal, the focus was that, yes, these biases are out there. We are human. We have them. Some are mine, some are yours, some we share. Those ones that are unique to your experience, and if gender is one of them, this will help you be able to recognize the moment where you start expressing that gender bias because of who you are, your identity, and not allow it to get to the level where it leads to prejudice or it leads to a negative impact to somebody else. So then, if you look at it from that way, trust me, there will be nowhere where you will not feel free to talk about gender bias, because you're engaging in a conversation that brings awareness. You're engaging in a conversation that is something that we need to be talking about all the time. If we sit quiet, okay, then the biases will keep on going. And guess what? When you express some of those biases at the end, it becomes a reflection of truly who you are, whether unknowingly, whether consciously or unconsciously. But guess what? The goal is that we can be better. The goal is for us to be aware, to know that it is there, and be better and rise above that level when you find yourself expressing some of those biases, where whatever the situation you find yourself in. And please feel free to engage conversation about anything, any topic. So thank you for that. Okay, if we don't have anything else, then our presentation for tonight. If any other questions come, please do not hesitate. Thank you for your listening ear. I am always honored and humbled to share my topics with you. Thank you for listening. I will not be sharing if you were there. At this time, I would like to give it back to Dr. Benny. But before doing that, thank you, Dr. Derek, for inviting me, for the opportunity to share with everyone on this platform, and for the platform that you offer for all of us every day, including myself. Even when I talk, when I share, I am also learning. So thank you. And the mindset is what gives me every day what I need to take it one more day at a time in our journey on passive, which I love so much, and I know we all love. So thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Tibeni.
Thank you so much. Before I ask you guys for their closing remarks, let me read something from Brother Malcolm. Love you, Queen JW, but only hear the question and discussion part of your presentation. But the onions, the onions is alleged to have twice the amount of quercetin that the yellow and the anosim, whatever you call it, are only found in red and purple. Really, red and purple onions as benefit. Anthocyanin. So, which means that red onions is much better, right, Brother Malcolm? Red onions, which is like red and purple onions, is much better than the white onions. Okay, thank you so much. King Alfred Che, could you please unmute yourself?
G Benny,
Yeah,
how are you, girl?
what can I say?
Excited.
Yeah, man.
Hey, my
Welcome.
sister Kanla, that was powerful, huh?
Oh,
All of us are experiencing that. Every day I have corrected people with my name in chair until I give up. So they keep calling it niche. I just go with it, and I'm tired. So we have to deal with those biases in one way or the other. So we just have to just accept it and take it. Because sometimes if you want to be pissed off, you make your blood boiling for no good reason. But that was powerful topic, girl. Keep it on. Much appreciated. That's all I want to say. And good evening to everyone. I was just at the back listening.
yes.
Thank you so
D. Benny,
much.
it over.
Thank you so much. My name is D. Benny or D. Money, which means
Thank you, brother.
Doctor of Money. Yes, man. Thank you so much, King Alfred Chair. Thank you for your support. I'm glad that you came to support Queen Kanla. Thank you so much. Brother Malcolm, Mike, thank you so much for your support. I know you always come here and support us, despite the fact that we don't see your face. But writing on the chat, yeah, we still happy, right? And thank you because you come here every Tuesdays and Thursdays, Brother Malcolm. Why? Because you love on passive in general. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. I want to really thank Queen JW and Queen Kamala for your presentation. Thank you for accepting to come and present here. And we're praying that you will come back next week again for chapter 3, chapter 4. It all depends. When it comes to this health thing, health is very important. You guys know that, right? Eating the right food, even though whenever Queen W talks about the food, she will say, I should not eat this. It's so difficult. Look at Brother Malcolm. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. We love you. And despite the fact that we love you, but there's somebody that loves you more than us. The one who created you in his image. Thank you, brother. We'll see you back next week, right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Queen JW, could you please, we just need your closing remarks for tonight. Thank you.
Yes, thank you to Queen Dr. Benny, First Lady. My head hurts, so I'm not too long. Anyway, my closing remark. Everything starts with our gut and ends with it. Believe it or not. Whatever the first part is our mouth, it starts from our mouth into our stomach. It's supposed to leave out of our colon. So whatever we put in our mouth, whatever we eat, whatever we drink, should be of concern. We should know that we need to detox our stomach, our gut. We should know that it needs to rest so it can be restored and repaired. We should know the prebiotics that we can eat through our plants. We should not be eating. We shouldn't have to go to the drugstore to get a over-the-counter medication or go and get a prescription from your physician. But just use the natural remedies. There's no side effects. And we can do it because we need to do it. It's now and then you might hear a doctor say, well, do this or do that. But most of the time you don't hear them talk about natural remedies because you don't make money off of natural remedies. And then it comes back, it's all about the money. And that's more reason that we as human beings on this lovely planet called Earth should take advantage of taking control, taking care of our health, our overall health. And it basically starts with our gut. Remember, the gut is also a brain. It's the second brain. So there's two brains in there, and they're working for the best of each and every one of us. But when we don't put the right things in there, and we don't clean it up, just like we clean our car or go to get our hair done, our nails or whatever, and we don't take care of the vessel that God had loaned onto us, then we will suffer the consequences, myself included. We don't take heed. So somewhere along the line, we have to take heed because every day someone is leaving this earth immaturely, not maturely, immaturely. There might be a couple that leave more maturely because it was their time. God has called them home. But most of them go home uninvited because they didn't take the time to take care of their health. They didn't deem it necessary. They didn't look at it as being important. But we have to take the time to treat our gut like a garden. Make sure that all the weeds are out, all the bacteria, so you won't have those smelly bowel movements that you can't even allow someone to go in after you. That means it's bad. That is toxic completely, you know? So let's take care of our gut. Let's clean it out. Let's detox it. Let us make sure that we get those prebiotics in that will work, that feed probiotics to give us good bacteria. Let's make sure eat a lot of fiber because we need that fiber. The onions, red, green, whatever they may be, there's something in them, even if it's not. The inulin is in the onion besides the other properties that it carries. So let's take care of our gut, because when we take care of our gut will take care of us. So thank you so much for your listening ear this evening. Thank you, Dr. Benny. Thank you, Dr. Derek. Thank you, Queen Kamlan, for that amazing presentation, because we all live and we're surrounded by bias. But that don't mean we have to take it in. I know I was confronted by it on several occasions, but it didn't make me, at times it will make you angry, but to say that I will show that kind of bias back to someone else, I would never do that. Because most of the time people don't even know what they're doing. So thank you so much. We appreciate you and we love you. Back to you, Queen Dr. Benny.
Thank you so much, Queen JW, for your closing remarks. We love you. We know that. But despite the fact that we love you, right? But there's someone that loves you more than us.
You're sure right.
Because he's the one that brought you in this evening. He's the one that woke you up this morning. Thank you, Heavenly Father. That is him. He loves you more. Now, guess what? Queen Kanla, could you please say something about whatever? We just need your closing remarks, please.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Queen JW, you just said what I wanted to say. Absolutely. That having bias is part of being human. And this is because of who we are, our identity, how we were raised, what we do. So it is not bad in itself or by itself. It is part of human nature. We tend to think that people who behave in biased ways as bad people who take it to the extreme, which results in negative impact upon people's life. Instinctively, that is what usually comes to mind when the word bias is used. But does it mean bias is always bad or negative? No. Does it mean every time it is brought to your attention that, oh, you are expressing some form of bias? Is it always bad? No. Sometimes you have good bias. A very good example will be, I'm sure all of us have experiences with between you growing up as a young person and your grandparents, right? We know how grandparents will spoil their grandchildren. Or even at home, you are either mommy's daughter or you are mommy's son, or you are daddy's daughter or daddy's son. The preference, but that is good bias, and you tend to spoil them by showering them with good things. You're doing so many good things. That is good bias. And when we are aware of that, that is good. So the whole presentation was about us acknowledging that we have these biases around us. We even do some of them, sometimes not knowing, sometimes we don't know. And guess what? It will require someone to bring it to your attention that, oh, what you just did is a form of expressing bias. Now, the intention for bringing that to your attention is that you get the awareness and then you are open and you learn from it. Not necessarily to do it in such a way that it creates a negative or a bad experience for you, and the outcome becomes even more dramatic, negative outcomes like the violence we are seeing and so many other things. Because failure to address these biases, it will only build up. It continuously builds up when there is failure to address them, when there is failure to recognize them. It builds up, and eventually you will find yourself doing something that is going to end up being bad, impacting another human being or families or the entire community, like what we are seeing that is happening right now. And so, thank you for the opportunity again to have this conversation with you. It is always my pleasure and joy to do that. Back to you, Queen Dr. Benny.
Wow. Thank you so much, Queen Kanla, for your closing remarks. Thank you, Queen JW, for your closing remarks as well. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate you guys. And we believe that you guys will come back next week, just to give us more information and to teach us. Like I stated before, attending this webinar or any webinar, we all learn from it. Our CEO said we should engage ourselves. You are engaging, learning, and relaxing and waiting for him to come back. You guys understand that, right? Or not just staying and complaining. Engage yourself by coming here to attend this particular webinar when it comes to health. Health is important. Bias is important. It's making us to open our eyes to know what is going on. Things are happening. We cannot just sit like this. But I really thank you all for coming. Well, I'm waiting for Dr. Derek, but you guys know that we do have after party. And Queen Dr. Nado is in charge of after party as well as thank you all. Dr. Derek is here. Could you please proceed and close the YouTube channel, please?
Wonderful. Awesome, awesome webinar, awesome presentation. Thank you very much, Queen Jacqueline Warner, and of course, Queen Kanla Rahel. In Jamaica, we have a lady way back in the days, back in the early 1900 year about. She was one of those who did not want to fart, especially in public or around friends and so on. And she developed a complication, so much so that she died. Literally, this literally happened. She died, and her name was Mary Lee. And they said, and the saying is now even up until today in my country, let your fart be free wherever you be, because that was the death of poor Mary Lee. So Queen Jacqueline Warner, that was awesome. Awesome. It came back to memory immediately as you start to speak on that topic. Wonderful. Really appreciate. And Queen Kanla, I don't know. I guess the only bias that I think I have would be bias towards women, because they are always marginalized and treated bad, even today in the workplace, everywhere you go, women are marginalized. And so I guess my bias is toward God made us equal, and we are always to be equal. All right. So, who are we to decide otherwise? But that's maybe another topic. All right. But thank you very much, Queen Jacqueline Warner, and thank you very much, Queen Kanla Rahel. I really appreciate those wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, before we go to the after party, just want to say hi to everyone on the webinar. Hi to all our kings and queens. King Carlton, awesome. Good to see you at always. And Queen Lily Lane, definitely good to see you as always. Thank you all very much for making it deep dive, globally changing lives. And those that are on YouTube, really appreciate your attendance. And those that will be watching in the future, thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe and click notification all, that as soon as we either drop a video, and that video for last week webinar is actually in the YouTube for Queen Kanla Rahel, the part one to today. So if you didn't watch a part one, it is now in the YouTube. So you can go back and take a look at it. Thank you all very much. Remember, it's the weekend, and so it's Dream Team Sunday at 12:45 Eastern Standard Time. That's 12:45 p.m. Um, Eastern Standard Time. And then, of course, Monday is Queen Miriam Edwards with Mindset Monday, and that's a new time. It's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Tuesday and Thursday again, it is Deep Dive, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thursday morning, it's Singapore, Malaysia, O Passion. And Wednesday evening, it is Julie Pier. And the entire weekday, it is Queen Dr. Yvonne and Queen Yvonne Finn, the dynamic duo with all about the children. So tune in for all these programs or whichever one you so desire to watch. But thank you all very much for coming out. We will now log out of the YouTube. So for those of us who would like to party, come on over into the Zoom webinar so you can party with Queen Dr. Nadu. All right. So thank you very much again. And you have yourself a wonderful, enjoyable, safe, warm weekend. Weekend. Oh, yeah, right, after party time. All right. Wonderful. So I will turn it over to Queen